This is Josh here from Inside Wrestling Truth, and today's guest is Jason Kincaid, the Gift. How you doing today, buddy?
Greetings, grappling fans. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Couldn't be better. First question I got for you.
Bring it.
Tell us where you're from, how you got into the business, and who trained you.
Well, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm an Army brat, but I was raised in southern West Virginia, Oak Hill area. It's actually a famous wrestling town. It's pretty much the wrestling capital of West Virginia. And West Virginia is not a big wrestling capital now, but back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was big time TV wrestling out of WAY and Oak Hill. I was trained originally by Scotty McKeever. He's the one that brought me in. And then I was later taken on by the Batten twins, and they pretty much polished me, finished off my training.
What guys did you follow growing up? Was you a wrestling fan as a kid? Or?
My favorite wrestler growing up was Ricky Steamboat. I was a big Kung Fu movie guy.
Yeah.
I loved the Ninja Turtles, anything martial arts related. So when you had a guy brought out a kimono dragon, wearing the gi and all that, that was my dude. Definitely Ricky Steamboat. And then of course Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, all the big top baby faces back then.
Who are some of your favorite people to work with in the Indies?
Really, Chase Owens is a guy that I've wrestled a lot now, and he's probably one of my top opponents. Eric Darkstorm's a guy that I've wrestled a lot. Jordan Cage, who I just had a match with just now. Anybody that I have a lot of chemistry with, that's the people that I really like to be in the ring with.
Where is your favorite state or city to work in, and why?
My favorite state to wrestle in would definitely be West Virginia, just because I'm a hometown boy. I love my people. I love my state. But the states that I've traveled to, as far as my favorites, Tennessee's my home away from home. And also, Mexico was, a big deal for me when I finally got to go down there. I grew up, not really growing up so much. I was, a big Rey Mysterio fan. But once I got into the business, I studied a lot of Lucha Libre, so it was cool just to be a part of that wrestling. But also, I was treated so well in Mexico. They talk about Southern hospitality. South of the border hospitality is the best. People took me into their homes, lent me their cars.
That's
crazy.
What titles have you held in your career?
I've held the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title. Now, for the past 2 years, I've held the NWA Smoky Mountain Heavyweight title. I've also been the NWA Mountain State Heavyweight Champion, NWA Mountain State Tag Team Champion, a bunch more, man. APWA Tag Team Champion, AWA Apex Tag Team Champion.
Who's been the worst promoter?
TCW Junior Heavyweight Champion. What was that?
Who's been?
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine, man. Who's been?
No, go ahead.
Who's been the worst promoter you've worked for?
Worst promoter? Any promoter that doesn't promote, which is the scourge of the indies. Pretty much every promotion that I work for right now, I had to go through a lot of bad promotions to where I finally, I'm at a spot right now in my career where I'm only working for promotions that I like and that I know are pushing the product out there, but
right.
There was a long time there, especially in West Virginia wrestling, promoters just don't promote. It's a hobby. It's they're playing a video game with the wrestlers. I just want to see these two wrestlers go out there. They don't care if fans show up. So any promoter like that, that's the promoter that I hate. I know you want names, but you're not getting them.
That's cool, man.
This ain't kayfabe outlaw dirt sheet time.
Right. What do you think about hardcore wrestling?
I think that if it's done the right way, it's great. A lot of hardcore guys I grew up watching, Rob Van Dam's a big influence on me just because he wanted to go out there and do something different, and that's what I try to do. That's my whole style. It's completely different from even him because I don't want to follow in his footsteps, but I want to be different like him in a different way, So I'm cool with hardcore wrestling. I think sometimes it's taken too extreme, too far. To the point where, what are you going to do to top it? But anything that can get guys on the indies paid and get them making money and get their names out there, I can't hate on that.
What's been your worst injury?
I've had about 5 concussions so far, and they've come one after another. So that's the biggest thing, like concussions. But I've broken my thumb. I've broken my hand, like these bones right here. I don't know what they're called, but I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had any major injuries where I've had to take time off, but I got like disc out my back, stuff like that.
What's been your favorite company to work for?
I would say Traditional Championship Wrestling out of Arkansas. That's where they're based out of, but they run like all over the southern central area, like Mississippi, Missouri, Tennessee. So like, and they've gotten a national TV deal now. They're on DirecTV, Dish Network, and like they're really getting my name out there. So it's been an honor to wrestle for them. And also NWA Smoky Mountain and IWA East Coast, because those are the 2 promotions that like I was like stuck in West Virginia indie wrestling purgatory for a long time, and like those were the promotions that finally helped me like pull myself out of that and like really get my name out there and really start traveling.
Do you have a favorite road story?
Let me think off the top of my head. I always liked wrestling, or I always like been on the road with Gypsy Joe. Like at the time, Gypsy Joe was still wrestling. He was the most vettered wrestler in the business. Like he'd been wrestling since the 50s.
Yeah.
So like I could just pick his brain, and like Joe really liked me, like because he was a grumpy old man. Like a lot of people like didn't know how to take him, but I treated him like he was just one of the boys. Like he was my friend. I didn't treat him like he was a legend or like he was my grandpa or something. So I would just rib him, and like that's what other people were scared of him. So they wouldn't rib him or anything. So he didn't like them. So we'd just be traveling. He'd be like, "I used to wrestle in this town." I'm like, "This town?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I used to put the wood to these girls in this town." I'm like, "Oh yeah, in this town?" He's like, "Yeah, this one chick and Mary something." I was like, "Mary? In this town?" "Joe, did you fuck my grandma? Did you fuck my grandma, Joe?" And he's like, "What? Oh, you son of a bitch."
That's good shit.
Always, man. Gypsy Joe is great.
What guys in the indies do you have no use for?
Do I have no use for it?
Yeah.
Guys who don't treat it like it's a profession. Like, I love guys that have the heart, like treat it like it's their passion, but at the same time, you got to treat it like it's your profession too. Like, you got to hold yourself to the most professional esteem. And I want guys that want to make money. That's the guys that I want to be around. So the guys who don't want to make money, I don't have any use for, because we can't make money together. And that's the biggest thing to me, because this is my passion too. But I'm not doing it as, a hobby. I'm doing it as a profession. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's your part-time job. It's still got to be your job, because, I don't want to work at Circle K. I don't want to. That's not me. I'm not that guy. Like, I'm traveling full-time right now. I'm trying to make a go at this, and it's a struggle. And one of the reasons why it is such a struggle is because other guys don't care about making money, and we're not working together.
Right. What do you think of WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor currently?
You know what? I know a lot of indie guys will like criticize WWE style or TNA style, or like, I don't like this storyline, and like, but really, anything that anybody else is doing to make money, I can't hate on it. Like, that makes you a hater.
Right?
Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like, that's not me at all. Like, I love all those guys. Like, so many like indie nerds and like computer fans. I don't like John Cena. He can't wrestle. What do you mean he can't wrestle? He puts asses in seats. Like, is that not wrestling? Like, is that not what got you into it? You can say you love Dean Malenko all you want, and we all did. Yeah. But he's not the guy that made you want to be a wrestler. And, I mean, maybe some people. But, like, if you really go back, it was guys like John Cena, like Hulk Hogan, like The Rock. Like, those are the guys that really made you want to get into wrestling. If you don't lie, don't be a liar.
What's the best and worst thing about being a wrestler?
The best thing is the fans, getting the reaction. The worst thing is the fans. Like, I don't like this storyline, and like, You know, going out to the gimmick table and having people come up to you, the merchandise table, and having people talk to you and tell you how you're their favorite wrestler. Like, you're the reason that I came tonight. Like, that's the stuff that really gets me. Like, and it's just been in that moment in the ring, like getting that reaction that you want to from the people. And I'd say the worst thing is, I don't know, trying to make money at it. It's been a starving artist at this level.
What guys in this business can you call your real friends?
There's a lot of guys that I can call my real friends, actually. I think the guys that say that they can't call anybody in this business their real friend are the fake people. Like, people treat you the way you treat them. So the guys that are always like just boiling in their own negativity, like, man, it's all politics. Like, oh, these guys, nobody's got my back, man. Like, it's probably because you ain't treating them the way that you want to be treated. Like, I've got real friends in this business. Like, that's why I don't think I'll ever quit, is because of the people that I meet in this business, the fans, the fellow wrestlers. Like, I would have never made these connections. Like, I wouldn't be the same person that I am today without professional wrestling. And it's been the best part of my life. Like, some people, like, high school is like, that's the pinnacle, or college is the pinnacle. Like, my entire time in wrestling is better than all that. Like, put all that behind me. I'll trade it all for my years in wrestling. And it's because of guys like Chris Richards and Chase Owens and guys that I've been on the road with, like Eric Darkstorm and Gypsy Joe. You know, these, like, real friends that I'll have for a lifetime. Brian Kyle, Derek Billings, my road dogs.
What legends have you worked with, and if not, who would you want to?
Of course, Gypsy Joe. It's another guy. Like, I've been in the ring with him too, and that's awesome. I've wrestled the Barbarian, the Warlord, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, George South. He cussed me out without actually using cuss words, and as I wrestled him, you know, just trying to teach me how to wrestle. Really, like, awesome experience. I'm trying to think of people off the top of my head. But those are the first names that pop into my head. I did just have a match, so I may have, like, concussion number 6.
That's
so
cool, man.
If I leave somebody off, I'm sorry.
What do you think is the biggest problem with the indies today?
It's something that I talked about before. It's guys not wanting to make money. It goes back to the promoters, too. Like, I've wrestled for a lot of promoters that were promoting because they have money, not because they need money. Or, like, it's kind of, you got to have money to make money. But guys that have so much money that they're willing to lose money, that's very dangerous to my sport, to my profession, because they don't have to learn from their mistakes, because it's just a gambling addiction. They're just money, money, money. Just keep throwing money at it. No returns, no problem. And what it does is it kills towns, and it keeps me from being able to make a living down the road. And it's the same thing with wrestlers, you know, guys that don't want to make money and will wrestle for free.
All right, this next question is kind of like the one I asked you, number 15. But have you worked with anybody from the WWE or TNA? And if not, who would you want to?
I've wrestled with AJ Styles, and that was a big match for me because, like, people just saw me as a good guy from West Virginia. Like, he's the best in the state of West Virginia, but I never wanted to be that, you know, because that's such a big fish in a small pond scenario. So wrestling a guy like AJ Styles and not looking that out of place, like looking like, man, maybe Jason's supposed to be there, like, that was a big deal for me. I've also, like, I haven't wrestled him, but I've wrestled around with Jamie Noble. I learned a lot from just being in the ring with him for a little bit, like training session.
Is he a pretty cool guy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Super cool guy. I'm trying to think. I wrestled earlier this year. I went out to Las Vegas for the Cauliflower Alley Club, and it was TCW was the promotion that I was wrestling for, and they brought in Brian Kendrick. I defeated him for the TCW Junior Heavyweight Championship. Like, I defended it against him. And also, earlier this year, too, for 304 Wrestling, I wrestled Matt Hardy and beat him as well.
Give me one word that describes Jason Kincaid.
Different.
What's the worst match you've ever had? If you've had one.
Now I've had really bad matches. I've had a match in front of like 11 people inside of a barn in West Virginia. Like, we didn't know it was going to be a barn when we went there. Like, it's not so much the match itself, it's the setting. Like, it was this barn that was converted into a little arena, and there was 11 people, and the guy that I was wrestling was drunk. You know, it's an indie sob story of a match. But I've had a lot of bad matches, just none recently.
What makes you different from most wrestlers?
Look at me. Like, that's a silly question to ask me. Like, you can ask a lot of people that, but you can look at me and tell what makes me different. Like, listen to my voice. Like, look at me. Watch me in the ring. Like, that's what it's all about to me. Like, people ask me all the time, what's your gimmick or what's your character? Like, it's just me, man. I'm different. Like, I stand out.
What's the most heat you've ever received?
Probably for doing this interview, man. Like, I have people calling me, like, were you talking about me? No, yeah.
Outside of yourself, who do you think is the greatest of all time and why?
Hulk Hogan.
Hogan?
Because he made 2 eras of wrestling. Like, who else has done that? Like, you know, the purest wrestler in me wants to say Lou Thesz, because that was the golden era man, and, like, he held the belt for so long, and, like, you watch those matches with him, like, every match he had was good. The same thing with Flair. Like, he really carried that NWA World Heavyweight title and made it so big. But when you think about, like, overall everything, Hogan, man, because the 80s was Hogan's era. Then the 90s was Hogan's era, too. Like, that's a big bleed over. That's a big time.
That's a lot of wrestling.
And he changed wrestling both times,
yes,
too.
He did. What's been your favorite moment in your career so far?
Probably pinfall victory over Matt Hardy and winning the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. Those are both like toss-up, either or. Depends on my mood, man. Hopefully I haven't had it yet, though.
Yeah. How do you want to be remembered when you retire?
I want to be a guy that changed wrestling somehow for the better. Like, I don't know how. I'm not there yet. Don't think that, like, that's an ego thing. Like, I'm going to change wrestling. But, like, I want to be one of those guys, like, the way Richard Pryor changed comedy, the way Marlon Brando changed acting. Like, if I could have one hope, dream, and wish to get out of professional wrestling is to be that guy.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you coming on and doing this interview, man. Do you got any last words or anything you want to say to your fans?
I just want to say thank you for supporting the most heart-stopping, jaw-dropping, eye-popping, high-flying, death-defying, awe-inspiring wrestler in the world today, Jason the Gift Kincaid. Thank you.
Thanks again, man.
Appreciate you having me.